Surprised. Cover these legs up. Welcome to our living room. Here we are again doing another little video update, and we're going to talk about some cool stuff today relating to our baby boy, his birth, his surgery, which was wild as like a 3-day-old baby. We're going to talk about the stay at the hospital. We're going to talk about his time in the NICU, which is the intensive care. And then just what we've learned in the first couple of months of having little Miles, our little dude. Maybe some of the things that people don't often talk about, or things that we weren't prepped for, perhaps. Or like funny things that we just have realised that we didn't know before.
Cool.
So,
Big
thank you for being here.
conversation.
Yep. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Shall we start then perhaps with birth? We talked in our last video, if you haven't watched it, our last video was about the pregnancy journey. So we were probably like we were close, like a month out from him being born before.
I thought it was like the week before.
Probably.
Yeah.
You were pretty heavily pregnant. And so, I guess picking up from there, we had planned cesarean was the plan. Well, not we, you did. I say we sometimes, and then I realised like I wasn't.
I'm not mad about the we. I know some people get mad about the we, but
You think
I'm
it's
not
okay to say we're pregnant?
Like, I'm not like, you know.
Like,
I'm
we're
just
having a
like,
baby's fine. We're
yeah.
pregnant.
Yeah, like you're not pregnant. But I'm not like kicking and fussing about it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Some
But I
people
can
do.
understand people who might.
Some people fuss about it.
Hmm.
Anyway, she's pregnant. She was
I
pregnant.
was. Not
She
anymore.
gave birth. But I was there. I was in the room, up at your
Very
head.
much. Yep.
Cesarean's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about the journey? Tell us what it was like.
Yeah, well, I was pretty freaked out beforehand. I think I was freaking out months beforehand and just had really dramatized it in my head. But mind you, it's a big deal. Like, you're getting sliced open, wide awake. It's probably the only major surgery where you're probably like, don't quote me on that. I'm thinking I'm thinking about Grey's Anatomy episodes as I say this, and I'm like, pretty sure people like lie awake when they do brain surgery. But I don't know if that's real or if that was just an episode.
That would be wild.
Yeah, because I remember watching a Grey's Anatomy episode and a guy was like wide open.
Actually, you know what
wide
takes the
awake.
cake? Eye surgery. My mate Damon had eye surgery.
No, I'm sorry, but
Imagine watching a laser
cesarean,
with your eyes open and they're like
7
lasering your eye.
layers of skin, bro.
Yeah, but you're not watching it. You're behind a curtain.
Well,
Whereas
still.
eye surgery, it's
No, but
literally
you're
on your
awake.
eye.
Nah, I reckon cesarean
Man,
tops the eye
that's
surgery.
wild.
Anyways, but yeah, so I was quite nervous beforehand, and I think I had told everyone that, including all the midwives and the anesthesiologists and whatnot. Honestly, I was mostly worried about the local anesthetic.
Let me see your beautiful face.
I was hiding it from everyone else.
Stop it.
Yeah, I was
Let it shine.
really just worried about the local anesthetic because I had one beforehand and didn't like it at all. So I had really just made a big deal out of it in my head. But anyways, to cut a long story short, I actually found the cesarean not that bad, which I feel like anyone who's done a cesarean probably has said the same thing, or a planned cesarean anyways. I'm not sure about the emergency Caesar. But the
We
hospital,
turned up like it was a hotel. Little suitcase, little neck pillow.
yeah, like
ready
checking
to check in. Yeah.
It's such a weird experience to know that, like, you
Bizarre.
wake up just knowing, oh, I'm gonna have my baby today. Like, you're about to meet this human that's been growing inside of you for 9 months. It's really wild.
Whereas like labouring for like 8 hours and then them saying, all right, we're not going to be able to get it out. We're going to have to do a cesarean. You feel a little bit like ripped off.
8 hours is short
Yeah.
for a labor. Anyways,
Actually, someone we know just went like 40 hours.
yeah, that's wild.
Crazy.
Wild.
Absolute hero.
I'm still a hero.
You're a hero. You're an absolute hero as well.
Validate me. That's right. Yeah. So, yes. So we arrived at the hospital. They put me in the gown, checked me in. The anesthesiologist came and spoke about all the different things that, she was going to do. I told her I was really nervous. She had to actually give me a local in my arm first to put the cannula in. And I was like, what do you mean?
You have like a local anaesthetic aversion, don't you?
Yeah, I really do. Oh, anyways, it's just so painful.
A little bit dramatic.
Well, you know what? It's my thing. Everyone has their thing. You have a thing. I can't think of it, but I'm sure you have something that is a bit dramatic too. But yeah, and then we eventually get into the operating room. We were delayed for a little bit, actually. I think there was a few
They just
delays.
move you around different rooms. You go sit here for a bit. Go sit in that
Someone-
waiting room. No one really tells you exactly what's happening or the timing of things, and you're just like,
I think we
waiting.
might have said it in the last podcast. Can't remember, but it's similar to like a drive-through where literally you're just like going window by window by window until eventually you collect your baby. But yeah, so go into the operating room. There's around like 13 people. There's quite a number of people there.
Those rooms are really
all
big.
just for you.
Yeah, and they're really big. I pictured it like the size of like a bedroom or like a bit bigger, like a big bedroom. It's like a huge, like, it's a big area.
Yeah,
and
I
so it has
pictured
to be
that.
for 13 people. Anyway,
And each of them have a role.
I haven't watched enough Grey's Anatomy, obviously.
It's a great show. It's so good. Anyways, but yeah, so going to the operating room, and honestly, I felt like every single person just made you feel so at ease, so good, so comforted, and you just got royal treatment as soon as you're in there. Like and I don't necessarily think it's just because we had a high risk baby as well. I feel like from feedback I've heard from other mums, that's generally the situation, regardless of whether you're high risk or whether you're just going in for a planned Caesar. They treat you so well, and just make sure you're comfortable. Sorry, yeah, and the Marta was like 5-star review. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, and so essentially they start the process firstly of just trying to get that local anesthetic in your back, and then they can put the spinal in. The local honestly wasn't that bad, I don't think, like at the end of it, but then like the spinal, you can't feel it, but you feel this like big pressure on your back to the point where it is a little bit painful, as much as you're not in pain, but you kind of are.
It's like throbbing, you were saying, I think. You know, it's kind of like an achy, kind of throbby pain.
Like
a
just
bit
imagine
weird.
like someone just like really pushing something.
It's pretty
into
wild
your
what they
back.
do. It's like this long needle. And it goes
Did you
like,
see it?
no,
spinal needle?
No, I only saw the prep.
Interesting. I'm curious what it would look like, because from what I've heard, they're quite big
I think
needles.
they said it's quite long. I think it's like a long, skinny one, but
It just felt like they kept trying to like jab it in, but I don't, because
I
you're
think
numb.
we had a trainee, not a trainee,
Really?
an anaesthetist, like who's got to that level is not a trainee. But I think there was two. There was like a junior and a senior anaesthetist, and it was like the lady who was obviously less confident in her abilities, and there was one sort of coaching her through it. And I was like,
Interesting.
it's all right. Everyone's got to have a
I
go.
don't remember that. But anyways,
She did a good job.
They did it in the end. And of course, I really hope you can't see my feet. They've moved.
They're fine.
I don't want people to see my feet. Feels very vulnerable.
Some people want to see your feet.
I know, but you got to pay for that.
Give them a little taste.
Teaser.
Don't give them. You can't taste her feet.
Yuck. Anyways, yeah. So they put the local and the spinal in, and
I lost. What are the odds?
we don't need to go into that story. And and then they
You started
essentially
shivering?
for me, I got the shakes quite intensively. Like I felt like I couldn't stop shaking the whole time, and I don't think I stopped until like
Severe shivers.
like just like intense, shakes. Like anyways.
I think it was while they were putting the anesthetic in. It was like a.
It is a cold room, but they give you warm blankets to try and make sure you feel warm. But at the end of it, I think it's the combination of
paint
just
your
like
back with like that
nerves.
Betadine or whatever it is.
But yeah, it was a combination of like nerves, stress, all of that, and then also the the anesthetic stuff also just naturally for a lot of people makes you shake. I think your
Were you
body's
mentally like feeling like, when you you shiver or shake normally, you can kind of like feel like the heightened level of anxiety or whatever. Did you feel normal?
like I didn't feel normal. I definitely felt nervous, but I also was trying really hard to like breathe through it. I tried to calm myself down, but
Because you made me nervous because I was like, she needs to calm down because they're like stabbing you with needles and your whole body's just shaking, and I'm like let them, they've got to like do their thing.
I couldn't stop.
Yeah, I know.
I couldn't stop.
That's what I was
I
trying to
tried
calm you
really
down.
hard, but I don't think it was just the calm. Like
Yeah.
the
That's why I'm asking. I think it was
nerves,
like other stuff, a chemical thing. Anyway.
Anyways, and then they eventually rolled me around and like laid me on my back and made sure I was definitely numb. They do the whole
Little
ice
ice cube.
thing.
up and down your leg and stuff. Like,
I'm like, how detailed do I need to get into the story?
no, it's just an interesting fact. I'm like,
Yeah.
like
What I
they
found,
still use an ice cube. I find that quite interesting. Like,
Yeah.
of all the technology we have,
I think I
they
was
bust out
so
an old
nervous
ice,
that
the
I was
old
like,
trusty ice cube.
what happens if I can still feel it? But genuinely couldn't feel a thing. And it was funny because once they had actually cut me open and the baby was coming out, it's funny to like say the baby and know that it was Miles because like we have such a connection now. But at the time,
Ooh, nice,
it was,
babe.
yeah,
That's cute.
it's beautiful. But yeah, at the time it was
Connection.
just weird to like, yeah, to like comprehend that there was a baby coming out and it was my baby. But
Like, we only knew him as like this big bump in your stomach and like a floating, faceless little thing that kicks you all the time.
like, yeah, you
It's
didn't
weird
know.
to think that we can actually see a human.
Yeah, and what to really see. What was I going to say? Oh, it was crazy that I didn't realize that when they were pulling the baby out that they had even started the surgery. I was really gobsmacked.
We distracted her real good.
Yeah.
I was up in her ear, like whispering weird things in her ear. And there was another lady, lovely, like
Yeah.
midwife nurse, who was like, talking you through.
Yeah, it was wild. And they
Just
were like, oh,
distracting
the
you.
head's out. And I was like, you've started?
Yeah, she's like, he's waving. And we're like, who's waving?
Yeah, legit.
And
What?
she's like, oh, he's stuck his arm. He stuck his arm out apparently, which I thought was pretty funny.
That's actually really cute. Oh, I love him so much.
But like startle reflex.
Yeah. But yeah, it just felt like to me that they were like, it felt like someone was just doing this to me the whole time. So that's why in my head, from what I was feeling and trying to figure out in my head what they were doing, I thought they were still trying to push around to feel my belly, not realizing what they were actually doing was cutting me open.
They were up in your goodies.
But anyway, so that was the Caesar. So he came out. And you can take it from there, I suppose.
Yeah, so I was, I didn't get to see the incision, bit sad. I didn't get to, like, see the moment of him coming out. I sort of saw him, like, they lift him up. You see him. I was, like, down. There's a curtain that kind of covers Vader, obviously, but also us on this side, me and the other nurse and whatnot. And I sort of, like, would have had to try pretty hard to look over and see. So I was happy just to stay with Vader because pretty like hectic thing for you to go through, so I was like, better stay here. I'm not desperate to watch him emerge. But they lift him up and he's just this little alien, very cute baby. I think unobjectively, I think he's like just genuinely very cute. But at the time when he came out, he looked like an alien, and like I was genuinely kind of confused. It was people say it's a magic moment. It didn't feel magic. It was bizarre and it was like surreal, absolutely surreal. But they lifted him up and the first I remember the thought that I had was like, oh, is that him? Or like almost like, are you sure that's him? Like as though he didn't, like he was covered in blood and slime and whatever else, like as though he didn't just come out of my wife. But it was a bizarre feeling, and I was like, I don't know what I expected. He doesn't necessarily look exactly like me, but he definitely has
Asian features.
got some like Asian coloration. But I think they're all just puffy as well, and like they look like little aliens. And like he was skinny, and then he had his omphalocele out, rocking it, which itself looked like kind of a little bit, not overwhelming, but yeah, it was a bit like, oh wow, there's his like big hole in his stomach essentially, and like a layer of shiny. I don't know. I'll show you a photo one day if you want to see it. But so that was pretty. It was pretty weird, like seeing his little puffy, crazy crying face, hearing him, and then seeing his stomach. Probably the whole picture, like altogether, was a bit, made it a bit extra strange. But yeah, it wasn't like a beautiful, magical moment. Like, there is my child, come forth, my boy. Yeah, the angels sing. Yeah. Anyway, it was weird.
Hallelujah.
Did you see him when he came up and out?
No.
Because you're still behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Couldn't see
you can't really
anything.
get up. You
Yeah.
can't really use your abdominal muscles
I
to
just
like.
remember someone telling me that he was out, and then hearing him cry.
Yeah, that was cool. He big loud cries. He came out, which is
Yeah.
great.
I think I was just so nervous knowing
what it was gonna
that
be like,
knowing that he was going to have complications but not knowing what his condition would be like, that all I kept thinking and asking is my baby okay? Is he okay? Like, someone tell me if he's okay.
Yeah, that's right. And that was nice. Like,
Yeah. So, and a lot of the midwives and the nurses were really reassuring, and the greatest thing was like hearing him cry, and everyone's just like, oh my gosh, he's got
the whole
such
room,
big lungs.
the whole room was just like amazed, and they were all
Yeah.
just like very vocal. It was a beautiful moment actually of all like 13 or 10 people, however many it was.
They were like,
were
that's
like,
your
"Oh,
son. Like, that's
your little
him. That's
boy."
your baby. He's crying.
It was cool.
He's so loud. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I do
That
remember
little
him, like, I
skinny
can
guy. Little
remember
skinny
him
dude.
like screaming in the best way, just like hearing the cries. And I was like, oh, I feel like that's really good.
Yeah. It was amazing. It was a beautiful moment. Like, yeah, despite the first glimpse of him was strange, but then it was very nice. And then they kind of bring me around and I go into the other room.
You got to cut the umbilical
Cut the
cord.
umbilical, just get a good look at him. Weird looking little fella. It was really cool though. Very cool experience. And you feel a bit like a rock star. Like they're just like, because you're the dad, it's all about you and the baby and the mum. And they're all like, kind of like, just like, oh my goodness.
I wonder if
kinda
they
cool.
do that for every single person though.
Probably.
Which I'm always just like, oh,
It's a pretty
but
special thing
then-
they get to do. So I feel like they would have energy to like put in the effort. It'd be very rewarding for them, that part of the job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I cut the umbilical. Well, I don't know if it was attached. I think it was attached to him, but they sort of like, they cut it and then they're like, oh, here, do you want to like cut it again? And I'm like, I guess. I did it more
for
just,
like a symbolic.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't like desperate, like really passionate about cutting the umbilical cord, but I did. And like lots of people say, it's very chewy. I didn't chew it, but it's very like springy, and those umbilical cords are tough. Like yeah, it was hard to cut through, which is cool. 3-vein umbilical cord. That's what they kept saying in the scans, and it's a good thing apparently. 3, I don't know, but blood flow. Anyway, and then they wrapped him up in Glad wrap. That was funny. So they're like pretty much brought out one of those boxes. You know when you're working into like a takeaway shop or Subway.
Hospitality grade.
Yeah, hospitality, like a box of Glad wrap with a little zippy dude across the top. They like bring out one of them, stick it on the bench, get a big piece of it, and like literally Glad wrap his whole body. Because he had, as I've mentioned, he had the omphalocele, so it was open, and it's like kind of exposed organs. Its liver is right there. His liver is right there. And so they're like, we just want to get it covered to stop any air getting at it, anything that might be floating around in the air, keep it a little bit warm. So they Glad wrap him up a couple of times. It's pretty funny. And then wrapped him in a blanket, put a little beanie on him. He had like a little random woolen beanie that they gave us, which was cool.
I think volunteers also those.
Yeah, some old
beanies
biddies
up.
that just like
Yeah,
churn
it's
out
so
these
beautiful.
beanies. It's beautiful, yeah.
And then they were able to bring him to me for a little bit.
Yeah, which was cool. So
Which was amazing, because we didn't think that I was able to get any skin contact based on what all the doctors were saying. They pretty much had told me to not expect to be able to do that, and that he would have to go straight down to the NICU, especially because his breathing was probably going to be compromised. And so that, I think that already was 2 miracles for us and 2 wins. Was one, his breathing wasn't compromised because he had lungs that were screaming and crying the whole
Still got
room
'em.
down.
he still got him.
He does still have them. And then secondly, that I was able to have a little cuddle. Now I remember at the time that the cuddle wasn't like, I wasn't able to like hold
It wasn't
him.
a cuddle. It's like we stick him on you.
Because I was so like still like my arms were like on the side, and I was still very numb from there down. They were still stitching me up. So, and I was still shaking as well. So I remember just being like,
That was a cool moment.
yeah.
Like the photos we got, I think do it justice, mostly. Like he got crying, and like it's just this beautiful moment. His little face is there next to yours, and he's like so fresh.
Yeah.
That was actually a really special moment.
Yeah. I think in hindsight now it was. I remember at the time just like feeling a bit numb and feeling like, oh my gosh, this is happening, and this is my baby, and I'm meeting my baby, but I don't really know this baby, you know, because it's just such a weird feeling to all of a sudden have this baby next to you, and you're like,
You're still trying to come to
He's
terms with the fact
mine.
that you have a human in the world that is your child.
100%.
Because before that, you don't have a child.
And I think I wasn't mentally prepared to meet him in that moment either, because I think I had just gone, nah, like, don't expect any of that. So just like, I think all I wanted to know was that he was okay. So when he was able to come to me, I was like, I wasn't prepared for this. I don't know how to feel about this. But yes, I think now in hindsight, it was a very beautiful moment to be able to have that moment. But yeah.
And then you stay and get stitched up. Hey,
I stayed, got stitched up, and
I
then
went
they
away with
wheeled me
him.
to recovery. You went with him?
I honestly don't even remember like the next parts.
Really?
Yeah.
You sent me photos of you holding him. You were able to do skin.
Did we go straight to NICU?
Yeah.
Okay. Level 6.
You
We
were.
spent a lot of time in the NICU, so
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably why it was just like a continuum of the ICU stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do remember. I took my shirt off.
Mm.
Classic, trying to get a bit of skin to skin, being that guy.
Yeah, it's great. That's
Yeah,
what you want.
yeah,
Bonding.
I think so.
Yeah, of course.
Special.
You want to be that
My
guy.
chest hair. I've grown it out for him. Just
Yeah, I know about
a bit of a
that.
treat.
He doesn't need a floss. Doesn't have any teeth.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It was nice. And then you came up to visit him. The
Yeah.
NICU. Let's talk about the NICU a little bit, just to give people a context, because you hear that and you're like, "What is that?" It's like a part of the hospital, obviously, but it's like one. We were in one big room, and there was 5 beds, 5 baby beds.
NICU is neonatal critical care unit. A lot of people
Intensive
think
care?
no, it's actually NCCU.
NCCU. Okay.
Yeah, that's what the elevator said, anyways.
Yeah, true. No, you're right. I remember that now. Yeah, but it's people call it the intensive care because it's like the equivalent of intensive care.
Yeah, I think it's synonymous.
Yeah, nice. Anyway, so it's like one big room, and there's like stations for babies, and they'll put it like the bed that suits the size of the baby. So it can be either like a fully enclosed incubator will be in a station, or it'll be like one of the open beds with a heater, or it'll be an open bed that doesn't have a heater. Those are sort of like the levels. I think I might have missed one, but your baby like graduates from each level. So biggest little Miles was born full term. He didn't need to be in the full incubator enclosed dude. They hooked him up with all the things. So because he wasn't able to get milk straight up because he needed surgery, and they're like, we're not going to get any breastfeeding happening. That was one of the definitely one of the challenges. So they instantly start feeding him. I think it's just glucose through like just sugar syrup through an IV, just so he's got energy going into his body. It's got no fats, proteins. It's got no nutrients. It's literally just like a bit of sugar going in. And so they hooked him up. They got cannula, which is the dude that goes in the hand and puts stuff in. They put all these little sensors on him. Oh, and then the NG tube. It's like a tube that shove it up the nose, and then it goes up the nose through the nasal part, down into the throat behind, and then down into the stomach, down into the stomach. And the baby doesn't get anesthetized for it. He just takes it dry. Yeah, so they hate that. Like they scream and cry, and it's not a very pleasant experience.
I'd scream and cry. Someone did that to me too.
Yeah, I got one actually. They sent us home with one. Really weird. NG tube. They gave us like souvenirs maybe, but a whole bag full. I'm like, what do I do with all this stuff? Do you want to try it?
No.
Okay. So remember the COVID tests when they shoved it right up there?
I hated that as well.
Not ideal.
Ugh.
Bring it back though, eh? Snappy
No.
lockdown. Miss the old snappy lockdowns. Anyway. Yep, they get him all kitted out with all the stuff, wrap him up, get him warm. Had a little heater above him, like a little. I think it was a pretty special little spot. They print out a little name card. It's like, "Welcome to the world, Miles," and it had pictures on it.
Yeah.
Pretty cute.
Yeah. Very nice.
And then you get stitched up, which takes like half an hour.
Stitched up, and then
They stitch up layer by layer. They've got to sort of start on the deepest layer, which I guess is the womb, and then because they cut through lots of things. Like you think of all the stuff that's here. There's layers of muscle. There's the fascia layer, which is like the connective tissue that holds all your guts in. There's skin, obviously, fat layer. Just layers upon layers. It's like a layer. You're a cake.
Yep, or an onion.
Or a parfait. Everybody loves parfait. That was a cute laugh. You sound like a guinea pig. Wow. Okay. Yep. And then you went to your room. We stayed in together.
Well, they wheeled me from the operating room. Then you have to go to recovery and stay there for half an hour, just while a nurse monitors you, keeps doing checks, essentially makes sure that you're not about to go into some critical condition or react to anything. So you stay there for 30 minutes. They then wheeled me straight to the NICU before they wheeled me to my room. So they actually wheeled me into the NICU to see Miles, and that's where you were at the time with him. And I think I was able to have another little hold of him at that point. I can't quite remember.
Yeah, because I had him on me, I think, at the time. And then it
Yeah.
was like passing over to you. I'm just checking this is still going. It is. It's beautiful. Technology, eh?
Yeah, we'll meet in NICU to visit Miles again. And had another little cuddle. I remember at the time when they wheeled me in, there were just like doctors and surgeons all around him, just assessing him. And I remember at the time I think I had just made it whilst they were doing an assessment of when they could do the closure surgery and all of that stuff. And then
Surgical team.
yeah,
They were great.
very good.
A lot of there's a lot of stuff in the NICU. There's like floating doctors and floating teams that go around, and especially when you first get there, there's like you said, there's like 8 people in the room, all like looking at him and writing notes and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And there's in the NICU, I think there's 1 to 2 ratio of nurse midwives to babies. So Miles always had 50% attention from a full-time around the clock nurse, and that's part of what makes the NICU different to like the special care unit. Special care is maybe 1 in 4. So and those people just sit there. They have a little desk and a little chair, and like if the babies aren't doing anything but they're just sleeping, they're just sitting there watching, ready to go. It's pretty cool. So that's why we were talking about like the whole public health system and how amazing it is that it's all free in Australia. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
That like they were saying the stay per night in the NICU or per day,
$10,000 per baby.
crazy. So if we were there 2 weeks, 14 grand, just in that, not including, or maybe that
No,
includes
it's not
medication
14
and stuff.
grand. It's $140,000.
That's what I said. That's what I meant. I was just rounding to the nearest fraction. Anyway,
Okay.
so yeah, so the NICU, we were there for then like that started that journey, and we were there for like, you said 2 weeks, I said 2 weeks, no one said 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and
Which in the grand scheme of things, we were there significantly shorter than what we had anticipated.
Yeah.
Because again, we were told to strap in for a long journey ahead.
yeah,
A lot of mums who have babies with omphalocele, I had read, range from staying for a few weeks to some of them stay for hundreds of days. And so, I think your mind naturally ponders into worst case scenario.
yeah,
And so we all kind of had prepped to stay there for a few months, to be honest.
yeah,
So to be able to have been discharged at day 14,
yeah, it was unreal, yeah.
yeah, wild.
Because I think day 3 was his surgery.
Yes, so he ended up having surgery at day 3. So
He's a skinny little dude.
after they had assessed him,
2.4 kilograms.
and again, this is I think another miracle that we'll claim is that even though he was small, he came out 2.4. He had a lot of excess skin, and he also had a long torso. So thanks, Daddy.
I'm all torso, I got no legs. Like this big.
But yeah, so because of that, they were able to assess the fact that they could actually like pull the skin essentially over his omphalocele,
Yeah.
which made him eligible to
He had
get the
loose skin.
closure. Yeah,
So it was amazing. They were like,
eligible
oh,
to
look how
get
stretchy he
the
is.
closure surgery pretty soon. So day 3, they were ready to go and
Yeah.
do
the
it
thing.
all. Yeah,
It was wild handing over this tiny little human to the surgical team.
That's a
Like
whole
you
nother.
do this big
yeah.
long trip through the hospital to get to the surgical team. It's over the other hospital actually, but you go.
Yeah. So, sorry, let's set the
Yep.
context.
Give it to us.
Yeah. So, yeah, day 3, we knew that was going to be on the Friday. So we woke up and we knew he was going to have
We were
surgery that
staying in.
morning. We were staying in
So we had a
at that
room.
point. We had a room.
To ourselves.
Yep. Which
I
was
slept
great.
on the little day bed on the little mattress.
But yeah, so we woke up that morning. We knew that he was going to have surgery, and so we went down. I remember us going down early because they had told us that the surgical team could come at any point from like 7 a.m. onwards or 7:30 a.m. onwards. So we were there from like 7:30. Scoffed down some breakfast, some in-house breakfast, which was great, and
Free food.
yeah, and
Public health, man.
and then I remember his surgery actually got pushed back because they had a few other emergency surgeries that needed to take place. So I don't think he actually ended up getting surgery done until 1 p.m. I think we wheeled him over. But our midwife that morning was great. I really she was one of my favorites. I think her name was Katrina. And
Yeah, she was good.
yeah, she was great, very knowledgeable, very like reassuring.
Competent.
Yeah. And so she had made sure that Miles, when he was ready, he was like, they have to kind of pack him up into like an incubator to be able to wheel him to the Queensland Children's Hospital, which is where they were doing the surgery. So it's connected, the MARTA and the QCH. And so you end
It's
up,
like a maze.
yeah, you end up going through all these side doors and whatnot because they're all connected, and end up in QCH and in the theater. So yeah, we wheeled him in. Essentially, you kind of like wait. It's
Got
almost
a wardie with us. That's a hospital word for
That's
the people
true.
who
yeah.
push
We
stuff
ended up.
around.
It's similar to like taking a roller coaster. You kind of like in this room outside of surgery
yeah.
where the anesthesiologists come out to meet you and
It's
like
like
kind
buffer
of
zones.
talk to you about everything beforehand. And yeah, I remember having to hand him over to
You scrub in, so you get all washed, wash your arms and stuff. Hair
Yeah.
nets,
yeah,
blue
all of the
gowns.
things.
Blue gowns pretty cool.
Yeah. And then they opened the door and the surgical team were ready, and
Scrubs, sorry, not gowns.
we pretty much gave him over to them to
Just like hand your baby across.
do this pretty massive surgery.
And he was just like, he looked so when he was born, when he was in a nappy, he looked so skinny, so funny.
He was
Because
so
he was
skinny.
light, and he was quite long, but he
so
was very
skinny.
light.
Yeah.
So it's just like no fat on him.
Yeah.
Like you could see his like deltoid muscles. I'm like when he like moves his arm, I'm like, bro, you got some tone. Brother was like, he was fit.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
fit.
What a rig.
Um,
He'd been cutting
yeah.
in the womb, doing all those legs presses. Anyway, yeah, so he was skinny. There's this little tiny dude, and you're like, he doesn't know what's going on, and you're just like, take my baby and please make him, fix him, and bring him back.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a pretty hard moment to have to hand him over because, you know, they're so fragile and so vulnerable. And
we probably expected it to be much later.
yeah, I didn't expect him to have so like.
Day
and
3
one
is fresh.
hand, on one hand, I think I was really excited that I was like, oh my gosh, we get to like have him repaired, and he you know, he gets to heal from this sooner than later, which is really like exciting. But on the other hand, I'm like, he's only 3 days old and he has to undergo this major surgery and
Yeah.
again go on anesthetics and pretty like major ones. And then I remember like once we were told that he was okay and the surgery went well, and seeing him, he was full on like a breathing tube intubator.
They
Yeah,
stick the tube into the
like
lungs.
just had a lot more wires and stuff on him. So it was also very confronting as well.
And he's on morphine, so he's just like, it's actually pretty cute. But he's just so out of it. And just like,
Yeah.
poor little dude. But it went well. They were really happy with how it went. They said they got full closure, which was amazing. Sometimes they have to stage the closure. They'll sort of pull it across and maybe partially stitch it up. But anyway, there was enough skin and whatnot that they could do full closure, which was great. And they stitch the muscle and then they don't stitch the skin. So it ends up being this weird sort of like folded crease, more than like an open cut or something, because like everything underneath is stitched. And they pushed everything in rather than trimming off. I think it's called peritoneum. It's like the layer of stuff that the umbilical. Anyway, that rather than kind of cutting off, trimming the excess and stitching it up, they're like, we're just going to push it all in as it is there. And the only part I guess they stitched was the umbilical opening, like the end. So he had like excess peritoneum. Anyway, maybe that's why now, like when he like tenses, it kind of pokes out. Anyway, went really well. Full closure. Got him back. He was drugged up. Very cute. Had some little morphine cuddles. Because he wasn't on morphine for a long period of time. I was actually really shocked with how quick they weaned him off painkillers. I'm like, let the brother have some more morphine. Like,
No, because I think, you know, a lot of babies.
and it has to be intubated while he's on the morphine, yeah. So
yeah, and then also a lot of them get withdrawals.
yeah, but as in like they were very quick to pull it, like a little bit more. Anyway, I think he went to Panadol after that. But I'm like, he's just had like a full on surgery, and they're very quick to do that. And then he gets IV antibiotics and different things as well. But yeah, anyway, like it was amazing what they did and how smoothly it went. And absolutely praise the Lord for like how well it went,
Yeah.
and especially considering things we were prepared for, things we were told.
I think throughout our whole NICU stay, the feedback we kept getting was, he's doing so well, and he really was just doing so well, or had done so well during his time in the NICU. He just, anytime he needed to get weaned off something, he was able to do it. Anytime he needed to be able to take something else or do something else, they were able to really like just get it across the line.
Every time there was a little challenge,
Yeah,
he did really well, and and they were always like,
overcoming
"Oh,
yeah. Always slept really well throughout the nights, and was able to take the breast milk. And like every time there were, well, that's a whole nother journey, was like starting him on breast milk as well.
Me milking you in the hospital room."
Yep.
Like you get like the smallest. I didn't realize how ridiculously small the amount of colostrum you get at the beginning. Like you get these little syringes. I think they're 1 milliliter syringes, as in the whole milliliter filled is 1 mil. The whole syringe filled is 1 mil. So like you're extracting and you're filling it up like 1/10 of the way. So we'll get like 0.2 milliliters.
This podcast feels really messy.
No, this is great.
I'm like, we're jumping from thing to thing to thing.
Nah, it's pretty chronological though.
Is it though?
Yeah.
My mind's like,
we're still in the hospital. That was like day 1 or 2. So we probably.
I feel like I'm like having a like a day in the life of being in Ruben's brain, whereas my brain's like, wait, I need more structure. Yeah. Anyways.
Mine hops.
I feel like we're hopping.
Yeah, I'm a brain
We've
hopper.
definitely hopped.
Anyway.
So we're now on the breastfeeding journey.
Breastfeeding, yeah, why not?
Okay.
Touch on that. A little sprinkle here, a little sprinkle there. Of like, yeah. So breastfeeding's wild.
Yes.
Yeah, things you don't really realize is like, firstly, how amazing it is, and because it's like driven by hormones and all these things, like looking at your baby, smelling your baby, like brings in your milk. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's hard, and especially not having a baby. How is that?
Yeah, so I always knew that breastfeeding was going to be hard because I think I had just exposed myself to a lot of information about breastfeeding and, mums that have gone through their journeys. And so I knew that it wasn't that smooth journey of, you get your baby and latches and...
Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, which I think is an exception to the main common theme, which is that doesn't generally happen for everyone. And if that does, then you're a bit of a unicorn. So I kind of knew that wasn't going to be necessarily our situation, especially because of his challenges. And so
him being taken away.
And so I knew, and we had met with a lactation consultant beforehand to talk about, how to be able to do this. If I did eventually want to breastfeed, then like, how would we make that work? And so the information that we got was, okay, well, because your baby's not going to be with you, then you're going to have to start expressing and pumping. Start hand expressing and then move on to pumping, and it's got to be 8 times a day at least, because generally with a newborn, that's how much they'd be feeding. So you're trying to mimic essentially what it would be like to have your baby with you, and as if they were breastfeeding from you. So I had set my 8 alarms every 3 hours to breastfeed or to hand express through the night, which was hard and like a bit of a rude shock to your system when you're not used to waking up every 3 hours. But
especially because it's not like, that doesn't mean 3 hour blocks of sleep. That's, I think the bit people get confused with it. Like, sleeping 3 hours and then up and then sleep. No. Like you're sleeping like an hour and a half of that max. Because by the time you like wake up, sort of like get the stuff, do the thing,
clean up everything,
and then go and then get back in bed and then try to sleep. Yeah, it's like an hour and a half gone.
Yeah, seriously.
So you've got to like get as much sleep as you can,
which is so funny. It's one of those weird cycles where it's kind of like, to get the job you need to have had experience, but in order to get experience you need to get the job. And I feel like similar with breastfeeding, it's like, to be able to breastfeed or get your supply in, you need to be well rested, but in order to get your milk in, you also need to make sure that you're doing it every 3 hours. And so it's like, how am I supposed to rest and also do this 8 times a day at least,
and just not be stressed?
Yes,
even though your baby's like in the intensive care and you can't see him.
Yeah, but
wow.
I knew that was going to be the journey, and so I didn't think too much about it. I just knew that we'd have to do it. And yeah, Ruben helped me, especially in the first few days, trying
Teamwork,
to figure
baby.
it out, especially because I had never done it before, didn't really know how to do it. And the midwives were beautiful and showed us how. So we were just trying to get something through and eventually was able to get a little bit of colostrum. But yeah, it was like the tiniest
Like a little drop.
amount.
Like literally like a drop
like
appears and
you
you're like,
would,
it's a drop. And
yeah,
you're trying to like suck it with a syringe. You're like trying to get it.
get every little thing that you could.
Crazy.
But yeah, and then also because
You get
Miles,
really used to doing weird stuff like that. That's what I found out.
yeah,
Like,
no shame.
yeah, you just
Yeah.
like,
You're in it together.
yeah, nothing else matters. You're like, who cares? Who sees my wife's boob? It's like people coming in. You're like, it is what it is.
Well, I didn't really care. I was like, they see this all the time. Like,
True,
whatever.
that as well. But yeah.
Yeah. And then also as well, part of it was like it's so hormone driven, and the hormone is oxytocin that that your body is getting to try and extrapolate this milk, and bye. The people just want to see me anyways. But yes, and so I remember when I was, especially throughout the nights when I wasn't able to see him and get wheeled down to the NICU, then I had to make sure I had photos and videos, and we had little like patches so that we were able to like swap scents with one another.
Sniff it.
Yeah, and trying to sniff his smell, like all these things to try and trigger and trick your brain into thinking that your baby's with you to get your milk in. And in my first few weeks, it was rough. Like didn't have my supply come in straight away. I think also having a C-section also doesn't help because your body hasn't necessarily computed naturally that you've given birth, because it's all very like mechanical.
Yeah, you haven't gone through the natural sort of cycle of like contractions and your body changing so much and then having to.
And so, and I didn't.
Placental dislodging, I think, is another big thing.
Yes, very much
but
so.
you're pulling it off rather than it naturally sort of.
Yeah.
I know how it works.
And so I remember just having to work pretty hard to try and get like little bits of milk. Fortunately for us, Miles wasn't able to take much milk in the beginning anyways. We started off with like 3 milliliters.
Which at the time we thought was heaps.
Yeah.
And then,
it's like
and then
a little syringe.
they increased to 6 and then he threw up once. And I was like, why did you give him so much? And then I'm like, now in hindsight, I'm like 6 milliliters is like, it's like nothing.
It's nothing. But yeah, we didn't know at the time. It felt like, you're just doubling his portions. And
yeah,
so
like, why don't you go 4.5?
Yeah. The even though my supply wasn't a lot at the beginning, the thankful part of it is that we never had to formula top up.
Yeah, touch wood, yeah.
Yeah. And again, nothing wrong with formula, but for us personally, I just really wanted to make sure he was on breast milk, and especially that early breast milk of colostrum. In my head, I was like, this boy has gone through so much already. If I can just do my part and give him breast milk and all the goodness and nutrients that comes with that, then like I will do it and I'll put in the work, and I just want to be able to feed my baby. Now, there is absolutely no judgment on anyone who doesn't do breast milk or, goes on formula straight away. I have no, why would you do that? But for us and for me, I just really wanted to be able to breastfeed and, or at least give him breast milk. And so because he started on such small amounts and I didn't have great supply, I was still able to at least keep up. I remember as soon as they started increasing his amounts, I was like, oh my gosh.
Felt the pressure.
Boobies, cooperate. But yeah, that was kind of the start of the breastfeeding journey. And then when we eventually got discharged, was just coming home to just pump.
Yeah.
So much pumping.
He was also on nutrition, like PN, I think it's called, which is like, it's like a balanced, beautiful cocktail of everything your body needs.
I have heard that bag of nutrition costs like thousands of dollars for like one bag.
Dang.
Yeah, so they don't just like to give it,
if it's not needed.
If it's not needed. But yeah.
He sucked it up. Put on some weight.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, breastfeeding, and then it's been sort of a continued journey. Now it's gone well. And I think, like, just to touch and reiterate, like, being such a hard journey, I feel like we've learned a lot of grace for people and and decisions other people have made. Whereas, it's easy to sort of cast judgment when you don't fully understand what it's like.
Yeah.
But it's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
And the pumping around the clock and all the other things you're doing, I can totally see why. Like, whether it's stress induced or whatever, people either lose supply or decide, hey, we're actually just
It's
we
a
can't
lot.
do this.
Yeah. And I've had moments where I'm just like, do I just stuff this? Because this is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
and you've
like,
done amazing.
oh, thank
I'll
you.
say thank you for feeding my boy. You've
You're
done really good.
welcome.
And it was really nice that just before it was a really nice moment when you're saying, like, how, he's had such a hard life. So, like, or such a hard, like, start to his life. Like, I at least want to give him this one thing that I can control.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Love that. Brought a tear.
So it didn't bring a tear?
The tear was in there. It was just, it got added to the general wetness of my eyeball.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, you're amazing. And all the other mums out there, breastfeeding, doing your thing, or just formula feeding, or just doing doing
whatever
your best.
you need. Yeah.
Good job.
Legit.
Raising the children of the future. It's a big responsibility to raise a child.
Massive.
Pretty excited. Like, it's pretty cool.
Like, no pressure, but also like, ooh.
Like, if we didn't do this, and if other people like us didn't do this, we just, like, wouldn't have a human race anymore. You ever think about that?
Yeah, true.
Like, this journey is like,
Or if you didn't raise them
tantamount.
well, then you just have a lot of like,
delinquents.
yeah.
Like what we already have.
Wow.
Nah, they're all right. Kids are all right. Yeah, it's beautiful. And again, I think we talked about this before. I feel like I'm, like, repeating stuff. We haven't done another episode, have we?
Nah.
But just, like, the beauty of the family unit, 2 parents, kids, particularly the 2 parents part, I really, like, have grown to value that and see the value in it. And I'm sure you would agree that, like, us doing this together is amazing. And I can't imagine how hard it would be for, like, a single mum.
Oh, honestly, the
parent.
respect I have for single parents is like through the roof.
Yeah.
Through the roof.
It's wild.
Like, and especially like single parents who have more than one kid. How?
Yeah. Like, we've only seen one little part of this, which is one child. And he's a
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to be, like, professionals here. We're
Not
just sharing our
even.
journey.
We're not professionals in the slightest.
Not at
I'm
all.
literally fluking my way through this
You're doing
every
pretty good,
day. Thanks. I
But
feel
yeah,
like
we're, like,
now I'm okay.
Scratching the surface as into parenthood.
Oh,
So we
I remember the first few weeks after, Miles was born, especially once we brought him home and really were just left to our own devices, then I was just like, is it left to your own devices?
devices. I was going to
Yeah.
correct you. I'm like, I'll let it go. Let it go. Left to your vices is this? You can say that. It just means a very different thing.
Okay. Well, anyways, once we were left to our own devices, I just remember thinking like, nah, we're done having kids because this is so hectic and overwhelming. The thought of even having to do this again with another baby, I was like, nah, it's fine.
We're doing it though, right?
Yeah, like a few weeks,
Doing it.
like not now,
We go again.
obviously, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. But yeah, I just remember in those first few weeks, it was just like grim. And mind you, I was like, my hormones were all over the place and I was probably having some postnatal anxiety and all of this stuff. But I was like, there's just no way. And so, yeah.
Oh, how good's the parent club?
Yeah.
There's like, I feel like I've entered into this like secret fraternity of parents, people who have had children, and like they give you a nod, like you're out and about, and then you see another parent.
Like when 2 bus drivers know each other and they just like nod.
That's
their
it.
heads.
We've
Yeah.
entered it, and like it's something we didn't know existed before we had a baby, and now we're like, wow, we're in this. We didn't know, and we didn't get inducted, but we're just part of it, and it's cool. Feels like a real privilege, and I feel like we're like part of some like special. We have like special knowledge about life that we didn't have before. Like, how amazing is this? How cool is this? Like, almost like you want to just go and tell everyone, but like people don't get it because we didn't get it before it happened.
No. That's a whole podcast episode of like things that we didn't get as non-parents
that we're
versus
starting
now.
to get now.
Yeah. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, Vader, you should say sorry to that person. Or like, you know, like just different things where you're like, oh, you know.
Definitely learned grace for people, haven't we?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny. I feel like now some of our friends who aren't parents yet, they'll maybe say something or do something. And I'm like, one day
You'll see.
you'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll get it.
Because we probably were kind of like those people as well.
Yeah.
And we saw.
Yeah, very much so.
And here we are seeing. And that's why we're in part of the club now. It's a cool club. Parent club. If you don't have kids and you're able to have kids, hopefully one day, you should make it a goal to have kids. It's very cool.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Well, some people some people are
Making
trying.
it a goal.
Some people are trying and it's hard. Having kids is hard. We've covered that before. So I don't want to like just tell people go and have kids. Like you have to do it. And some people don't have the opportunity to. But I'm like, it's just a really cool thing you get to do in life.
Yeah, I agree.
And so if you have the opportunity to do it,
would recommend.
Would definitely recommend. And it's amazing. It's, as hard as it is, it's
it's. I would say it's like the hardest thing I've ever done so far. As in, like, I've only been a parent for 12 weeks. He's 12 weeks old, and it's been the hardest time of my life. And you know,
hardest
again,
challenge.
Mixed with like different challenges of his health. So it's like been hard in that aspect, but also just hard like transition of
Your
life.
changes, yeah.
But it's also been probably like the most beautiful and special time of my life as well. So
I'm a big believer that like anything really good in life is hard.
yeah.
And comes by some sort of difficulty and striving or like hard
Very
work.
much. Yeah.
And so like the harder the parenting is, the more beautiful it is in some way.
Yeah.
But they can be like so annoying. Miles, I love you. Love you in there, Miles. He's asleep. He's doing great, isn't he, right tonight? Like the amount of love you can have and how like just smitten you can be with your baby, and then they just start screaming in your ear, like they just turn, and you just like want to put them inside a box and just close the lid and walk away.
Please don't call child services on us.
Forever.
He's not actually going to do that.
Would never do that. Would never follow through. Never thought about doing it. But like, yeah. Or when they're just like relentless screaming and you're like, I've done everything.
Yeah.
And you're just screaming in my ear and you're holding them.
You can understand why like mum rage is a thing.
Yeah. Dads can get rage as well.
Probably, yeah.
The other night, he was just crying and crying and he wouldn't stop. He was just screaming, wailing.
Like, that's not normal for him. Like,
No, that was weird.
yeah.
But anyway, like I'm just like, I felt so much anger. I'm like, put your arm down. Like pulled his arm down flat because he kept like.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not aggressive to little Miles. We love him, but it's hard. So again, another thing we didn't really realize how annoying they can be.
Yeah.
But how amazing they are. Like I'm obsessed with him. Like I just want to like eat his face and I just want to like squeeze him so tight that he just pops. So I was like wrap him in my arms and I'm just like.
Please don't call child services on us.
He'll never pop. I'll never squeeze him till he pops. But that's the feeling I get. I'm allowed to feel that, I think.
Yeah, it's when
Apparently there's a
like
weird
so
feeling.
Cute that you just like.
Yeah, you just want to like put it in your mouth. Apparently apparently that's a real thing.
Yeah,
Not just me.
Why?
Who knows? Yeah, but apparently I read somewhere that was like there's an actual phenomena that happens where you like want to eat your child, not eat like as a meal, but just like put them in your mouth.
Please don't call child services on us.
He's not a meal, but he's 4.7 kilos now. So if he was a meal,
Stop.
I did a 4.7 kilogram brisket a little while back in the smoker. Just saying, and it was delicious.
Okay. Anyways, moving on.
Took a turn.
Very much so.
We love Miles so much, and it's like it's a special love. How do I describe it? It's like the love of a puppy. It's like the cuteness of a puppy. Like when you get to see a puppy and a puppy does something really cute, like a little tiny baby dog, and you're just like, I just want to like squeeze that little puppy. Can I pet that dog? Mixed with something else. Anyway, great. Do recommend. So, bless you. Any things now? Let's like start to draw this to a close. I keep checking because my battery's low. So.
I'm also, it's like 10 p.m.
And
I'm so tired.
Okay. And he's probably going to wake pretty soon.
No, he won't.
We'll feed him and we'll go back down. Anyway, things that we've learned, things that like, one thing you've got, like an item of stuff, one of the little things we bought that you're like inseparable. Always need that. Always have. Oh, those cloths, burp cloths.
Yeah, those burp cloths
Brother.
are pretty
Just gonna grab
wild.
one.
The sterilizer. I love the sterilizer.
Sterilize a bit extra.
My breast milk pumps
These things,
have been pretty game changing.
they just absorb everything to no end. We have like a pack of 10 of them. Every time we feed, use one of these because he's going to spit a bit up or something. Anyway, they're just great. We've got like one hanging on like every surface in the house.
Yep.
Burp cloth, what are they called?
Burp cloths.
When you buy it, it's some cotton. It's cotton something or other.
Burp cloths.
Anyway, fantastic. That was mine. You got to get a different one.
My breast milk pumps.
Oh yeah, hands-free pumps.
Yeah.
So if you're exclusively
When
pumping
I
or
first
mixed pumping,
started, I had my one like pump, and so it would take so long because it wasn't hands free. You like attached to a machine,
You
so you
hold
just
it
had
there.
to hold it there.
and then you hold it on the other side, and,
and
you
so
just
it just takes so long. And so once I didn't want to get a breast pump too soon before we knew what our journey was going to look like because they're quite expensive.
Yeah.
And so once I realized, no, we're going to be pumping for some time, I did the research, spent the money on some good pumps that are movable.
do we want to get a sponsor right now and say who it is?
Yeah, Mum Milk,
Are we allowed
the
to
Ella pump.
come
has
at
been
us with
great.
an endorsement?
Legit sponsor
I
us.
don't know what they would give us. Some free.
Sponsor us.
Nah, probably nothing.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's all right, one day.
But yes, that has been pretty game changing, and my supply has increased.
Yeah, we have a
I'm
freezer
doing
full of
pretty
milk.
well with supply.
Not a freezer full. I don't think you've been excessive. I think you've just you're a bit of an achiever, and so you just wanted to make sure you had extra.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're a bit of a warrior, so you're worry, not warrior like a fighter.
I
Like
am a warrior.
Okay,
as
sure,
well.
a bit of both. But you're like you're a bit scared of like I got
Yeah.
to pump, keep my supply up, and anytime it's like a bit lower, you're a bit stressed about that.
Yeah, legit. The other day, my supply went down a little bit for a few days, and I freaked out because I'm like, is this it? Is this the end of my journey? Like, is this where we dry up? Is this where it all stops? And I literally was drinking brewer's yeast with water in a cup to try and get that baby back.
Don't drink that. Not good.
I did it.
You did,
Did
but
it
I'm
a few
telling other people
times.
not to do it.
I did all sorts of things during those few days because my mind was like,
Do what you
this
gotta do.
can't happen.
Yeah.
But yes, no, the milk is back.
Oh, actually, and one thing that's kind of cool is we've been able to like give some of it away, which is cool.
Yeah.
We've got lots of friends who have babies, and like different friends of ours have had different journeys. And one of them is like, "Hey, if you got excess milk, I'll give it to my child." And we were like, "That's a bit weird," but like,
But
yeah,
also, yeah, I think
beautiful.
at first I was like, wait, what? You can do that? And then once we thought about it, I was like, I'd rather give it to our friends and chuck
amazing.
it away because that's sad.
First, it's getting used, so it's like not wasteful, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And secondly, it's just a beautiful thing. Like it's a nice picture of community. You have friends, you have people you do life with, and you know can lend each other help in different ways, different times. And this is something that you can do. Your body just naturally does, and you've got excess of it. So like, why not like bless one of our friends? I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And we can tease him when he gets older that he'll like drinking your milk, or he'll tease me. Like he could flip that on me, couldn't he? Anyway, we'll see.
But yeah, so I would say my breast pumps. But honestly, there's been a few things that I think have been pretty good.
That cushion.
I was going to say that. Cushion.
I was really skeptical of it when we first got it because it was big. I'm like, what are we going to do? Like, are we going to ever use this thing? Because it's just this giant
We
cushion.
use it
Let me grab it.
all the
It's amazing. Like
time.
every day, our amazing Korean friends got it for us.
Yes,
from Korea.
감사합니다.
감사합니다. This thing.
Ta-da!
A little handle.
But the best
transport.
thing about it are the straps.
Strap them in. I thought the straps were annoying at first because I'm like, they're just
Nah.
annoying.
It
'Cause they dangle.
game changing.
But they're Velcro. So you like lie him in here and it's got like a nice straight bit there for his back to keep his back relatively straight. And then it like dips up there. So his little legs pop up here. And then you strap the sucker in. He ain't going nowhere. And comfortable.
And you
it
can
lives,
feel assured that
lives there.
your baby is strapped in, and you don't have to
Safe.
keep going. Is he gonna roll off that thing? Because he ain't.
And it's got little dragons
Yeah.
and stars.
Yeah.
I love dragons. So anyway.
And his name is Little Dragon.
Yes, literally. Speaking of little dragons. Hang on.
Okay. Anyways, all right.
I found these on Marketplace because I want my boy to read them when he gets old enough.
10.
Because I read them.
And you know what?
Delta
I
request
still got to
represent.
pump. Pump, 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 pump.
I'm a bit of a nerd, but that's all right. All right. Anything else?
I don't know if we got through everything we wanted to get through.
We got through enough for now. We didn't talk a
Yeah.
lot about our like spiritual journey
Yeah.
aspect of it, but I think like self-explanatory. We've prayed for this boy since before he was conceived.
But we should talk about
During
this
pregnancy
in
every
another
day.
episode.
Yeah. And we are absolutely grateful to God for him.
And his health.
Yeah, and we believe he's an absolute gift
We
from
didn't
God.
talk about his complications after once he got home.
Yeah, he had like an infection.
Anyways.
Then he had some hernias. I don't know we might not talk about it. Let's just like broad brush stroke.
This is like when you start a project and towards the end you're just like, can't
Just
be bothered.
rush it
Just
up,
like,
yeah.
whatever.
Put it all.
in.
Yeah, your first point of 3. Your first point's like
You're,
amazing.
like, really,
Your second
like,
and third
weak
point
at
are
the
just like.
beginning, and then it's all down.
Anyway, he had 2 inguinal hernias, so essentially 2 hernias in his groin.
bilateral.
Yeah, well done. Which is where like part of your bowel, like your intestine, lower intestine, kind of obstructs through the fascia layer I was talking about before. But because you've got
the word fascia.
love the word fascia. You've got like
Makes
a
them
natural.
feel smart.
Wow. You've got like a hole down there that your testicles descend from, and that the vein from your testicles and all the tubes, all the piping, goes from your testicles up into your abdominal cavity, and then does stuff in there, and it comes out, and you do wee wees. So you got like a few like points in your down in there in your system where you can have hernias, because like your belly button's another area people get hernia because it's another weak point. Anyway, so his intestines were like pushed out through that passage that the vein comes out.
And this all happened once we got home. Like, it wasn't expected. This just randomly happened one day.
He starts freaking out.
You could see him in pain. You could see he was not normal. He didn't just turn purple. He went pale. And I was like, this is not
all the colours of the
Miles.
rainbow.
What's going on? And
Started yellow.
We didn't even figure out what was wrong until later in the afternoon. And you were at work. And I was like, there's a swollen ball. Is that normal?
Yeah, that's right. I remember I was at the traffic lights at the end of the street, and I'm like, I think he's got a hernia.
Yeah.
Because one of our friends had a hernia as an adult.
Which was funny because honestly, at the time, I was just like, he's not a doctor. He could be wrong. Like, don't just say stuff. Don't just diagnose him already because you don't know everything.
It's like life.
Yeah. Anyways, you were right.
And then you learned, I do know
You don't know
some
everything.
things. I wasn't going to say everything. Wow.
Yes,
I
you
know
are
some
very
things.
clever, and you did.
Nah, it's just because I knew we had a friend who had a hernia.
I didn't
Yeah.
know anyone who's had hernias before.
Anyway.
But anyways, so
But
yes,
like
he
we
had that.
rushed him to the hospital. It went back in, and then we brought him home, and then it happened again on the other side.
Rushed him to the hospital.
Doctor showed us how to like push it in, and I had to like push his intestines from
and
his
then
testicle.
He needed a second surgery. See, we're really
Crazy.
rushing through this. There's
Yeah.
so much to like.
So we went in
detail,
for
though.
a surgery. It was pretty minor, 2 little scars where his hips are.
Be nice to like
That
get
was
the
amazing.
detail in so that one day we can remember.
He had a
all of
stitch
it.
infection like in the middle of his.
Literally just throw it.
These are the 2 things, babe. Let's just do it. He had so where the closure happened, it was sort of like his whole width of his belly. So he's not gonna have a belly button. We've talked about that before, but he has this like line, and he got an infection on the stitch, but the stitch just so happened to be
His belly buttons.
right in the center. So it like opened up. It went all pussy and
Then he
gross.
needed like a compression back, and then we had to go to the hospital,
Yeah.
and he was attached to a machine for a little bit. But once he got the hernia surgery, because that came after the infection, are you keeping up with us?
Get him,
You
babe.
keeping up?
Get him. Get him. They can watch it in
Yeah.
half speed. The rest of the thing they'll watch in
Try
double
watch us in
speed.
full speed now.
They'll
Hey?
watch this in half speed.
No, try watch us in double speed. Double time it. I dare you. Do it
Trying
now.
to talk, you're trying to talk fast, and then your brain's not getting new words, so you're just repeating them.
Hey.
I loved watching that. That was beautiful.
Anyways, and so yeah, so then you had to get a second surgery, and
Yeah.
then we had to go back to hospital, and it was really special because our friend Ben just started his new job that day, which we've
Yeah.
been praying for
Yeah.
him to get this job,
We've
and then
been praying
he
for
was
him,
there, and Miles was there, and then we had to do that whole handover and transition thing again, where it's like, here, have our baby, and I cried because it was really emotional, and then he came out, and again he was all like whoopee, and then. He
Good, bro.
was. He
Yeah, I'm worried about you right now.
and then we had to stay at the hospital for one night, and he was in so much pain
But
because
the stitch, he's gonna have like a belly button. That's the moral of the story. He's gonna have like still have his like
Yes.
lines either side, but the middle
I'm really
turned into a
curious
big dirty
if those
scab.
lines will still look like the way that they do in a few months.
It'll smooth
time.
out a bit.
Do you reckon?
They look like creases, like folds, like I mentioned before,
Yeah.
because the skin hasn't like joined. They're
I
sort of
need
just
the
like buttered
skin
like
to
this.
join.
It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
I wonder what it looks like if you try to spread it.
No, don't. Don't.
Darn, clear.
Don't. No.
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 Anyway, so yeah, he'll have a little belly button. Hopefully, oh, it's not gonna have a belly button. He's gonna have a little scar in the middle of his belly.
That'll look like a belly button.
A little bit.
I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, what if one day someone like punched him in the stomach? Like,
He's gonna be a machine. He's gonna have abs of
I
steel.
will come for you for anyone who decides to hurt my baby. Literally.
Wow. Why would they be watching this?
I don't know.
Why are you trying to threaten them? No one's watching
I
this.
just want people to know
Let
that I'm
alone
gay.
our child's
I'm
bully.
serious.
Who's probably
I'm
in
ready to like fight when it comes to my child. That's the
there.
connection that I've built.
All right, I think
We didn't talk about connection
I think
either.
we're definitely gonna wrap it up. What you tell me about the connection?
No, we don't have time to talk about
It's a special connection.
No,
Rest assured, it's very beautiful.
but doesn't happen for everyone straight away. I'm seeing a psychologist, okay? Leave me alone.
Don't just say I'm seeing a psychologist. Like it's just this like that felt like a real throwaway. Like
Well, that's what we're doing at the moment. We're just chucking
yeah,
things
well I'm seeing a
in.
psychologist.
Oh, forgot this. Add this ingredient. Add this in.
Sugar, spice, and everything nice.
Glinda. Alpha. Glinda.
Wait, what?
It's the new Wicked movie.
No, but I was seeing if you got the reference I was putting out there.
What was your reference?
Sugar, spice, and everything nice. Come on, baby.
Is that a nursery
Come on,
rhyme?
baby. Powerpuff Girls. Like opening thing where it's like
Oh, I don't
sprinkles.
remember.
Pretty sure anyway. Fact check me. What a show. Anyway, it's a beautiful connection. Actually,
Didn't happen
we
straight away.
no, you're right. It was weird. Like
Yeah, see, it's a whole thing.
it is a whole thing.
We
the whole
need to talk
connecting to your
about
child.
that, but I don't think we have the time for it here.
Just give him a taste.
Well,
a sprinkle.
I don't know. I'm too tired. My brain's just
Yeah, my
like,
brain's a bit tapped out.
we're done.
But it is.
What an episode.
You don't naturally.
This is where it
easily
ends.
form a
This is
connection.
where we're like, ugh. Ugh.
Brother. Ugh.
Brother, ugh.
Yeah. Anyway, no, this has been nice. Thank you.
I feel like this has
If
just
you're
been
still here
one
with
hot
us-
mess.
Thank you.
You've just come to Cold Rock,
Name one person who would be watching this.
Alex.
Don't. Easy one because
Daj.
Dash. Yeah, they put us on their TV on YouTube. They're our most loyal fans.
This feels like we're hanging out together. Because
Yeah, it
really,
does.
like, we're just making these videos for you guys at the
Welcome-
moment.
yeah,
What are
welcome
you
to our
eating?
living room.
What are you eating?
Wow.
Uber Eats?
Uber Eats? What did you Uber Eats?
Wait, let me guess.
Text me
Let
right
me
now when
guess.
you're watching
No,
this
I
with a
know.
photo of your food.
I bet you.
Are you staying within your cows?
I bet you
1800 cows.
you ordered Nando's. I'm calling it. Does brother eat chicken?
Yeah, everyone eats chicken.
But
Oh, no,
like
your dad doesn't
Nando's
eat chicken. That's another topic.
Does he eat Nando's?
Sure, I'm sure he does.
Yeah, I'm calling Nando's. Tell me I'm wrong.
We've been calorie counting. Me, Alex,
I have not been.
couple guys. Actually, it's just me and Alex, and then his brother Alki. We work in the same office space.
No, we're not
It's very
getting
cool.
into this. All right.
Anyway,
Cheers.
Alex, hope you're doing well. You probably got a ripped six pack by now, as I will as well. Don't right now, but
Show them what you got.
you can see it. What you see is what you get. It's concealed. But thank you.
I
we
think
will.
we're much better when it comes to like comedic podcasts. I'm not sure about the serious podcast.
Comedic is this like this tail end being comedic?
Yeah, I think this has been pretty funny.
Yeah. What's wrong with the first half? You think the first half was bad?
I don't necessarily know if it's like
It's very informative. I feel like it was a bit boring, a bit
with
dry.
the fascia layer.
Oh no, the fascia was fine.
No, that's
said it
the
like
dry
four-
stuff.
I'm pretty sure I said it like 3 times.
Yeah,
You're
legit,
right,
because
dude.
that's the only layer of skin you know within the
Excuse
body.
me, firstly, it's not skin. Secondly, I know more things than the.
Name the other layers.
Well, you have your fat layer and you have the skin layers. You got your dermis, which I think is your skin. It's like 7 layers of
You've
skin.
got the epidermis.
Sure, yeah. Maybe your dermis is like the epidermis and then the other one as well. But then anyway, you got like the fat layer, subcutaneous fat.
Such a weirdo.
You know that word? It's a thing. But then the fascia is like what holds all your. I just learned about it recently. Like, it's
Yeah, I
fascinating. It's
know.
what holds all your
But
organs in.
Don't
You wonder
need to
like.
say it 4 times to prove that you know.
And then you got
it.
peritoneum. I've said that a couple times
Yes,
as well.
you do. You love the word peritoneum as well.
It's a good word.
Yeah. What I also have appreciated is that every time I've remotely said one big word, you've been like, "Oh." Good job.
Wow, have I?
Yes, you have. Oh, you know that one, really.
Oh, wow, you do know words. You're very capable. She's very clever, very
Sorry.
capable woman. It's all right. I'm used to it.
Don't call social services on us,
I'm used to it. She hits me. I
I don't.
don't hit Miles because I'm a good father.
Don't even joke about that.
About being a good father.
No, about hitting.
Anyway. Babe, you're very smart. She's a lawyer. She's also got a Bachelor of Psychology.
Psychological science, to be specific.
Yeah, because not. Yeah,
Because I'm a scientist.
I feel like a Bachelor of Psychology sounds more impressive.
No way.
That's like me saying I got a
science.
Bachelor of Architectural Studies, which I do. Just less impressive than.
Throw it on there.
No, I'm saying it's. No, I'm saying it's not.
Which I'm do.
saying it's not as impressive. That I would rather have been able to say I got a Bachelor of Architecture. So that's why I had to go
I just
back
want
into a
people
master's.
out there to know that I'm a scientist
And I'm a master.
and a lawyer.
I'm a master. We're pretty impressive.
No, stop it.
Master Reuben.
Ew, don't.
I've got a
As
master's.
soon as you say we're pretty impressive, it
architecture.
feels so like gloaty.
I can
Not
say that you're
impressive.
impressive.
Yeah, like.
And then you can say I'm impressive and we'll just
I'm
like build each other
a
up.
walking Oxymoron.
A rising tide lifts all ships. You know?
I'm a walking oxymoron. I have my impressive moments, and then I say things like I'm left up to my own vices, and it's just like.
Which literally is like. Yeah, it's not good. It's pretty much means you're like, you know what vices are?
Yeah.
Like bad things that
Yes.
you do that are like habits and stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway. So when we went home with Mars, we weren't left to our vices.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks. Let's wrap it up. See ya. That's how you do it. Straight up. Cut it off.